Welcome back. Still reading and enjoying the stories in Second Kings, and I'm excited to just share the stories or the lessons that I learned from Second Kings 2. Now, I've read and reread the story of Naaman, but it was just reading it again now, it just really registered to me that Naaman was the captain of a Syrian army. He was a Syrian, Israel's nemesis, Israel's great enemy, the same people that Israel had been fighting. But reading chronologically has given me a better insight as to why the Syrian king will send a letter to the Israelite king, because I always thought that was weird. And then the Israelite king was like, hey, this guy's trying to fight with me. What is this about? Am I a healer? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, so obviously there was some bullying going on there. Both nations had an unstable relationship and fought for border cities, but it's now obvious that both kings maintained some sort of diplomatic relationship, which was why they were able to communicate in this instance. What's most interesting about Naaman's story is that even though he was part of Israel's enemy, God clearly had his hand on his life. His obedience to Elisha's unconventional healing instructions was what healed him. Apparently, the Jordan was a very dirty and filthy river, from what I was understanding, which was why he was hesitating. But the irony, right? The irony that he was asked to go and wash in a dirty river to get rid of a dirty disease. I mean, God works in mysterious ways. We already established that yesterday. I love that he repented. That's Naaman, and wanted the land. Sorry, what did I write here? I love that he repented. Naaman wanted the land that belonged to God. Yeah, okay. I love that he repented, when he found out, and he was like, oh, this God is really God. And then he wanted the land, and he even wanted the land that was part of Israel. So he believed that when he finished, he wanted to take some of the soil to say, to worship his God there. But God clearly had his hand on his life, and he wanted the land that belongs to the Lord to worship. Now, let's talk about Gehazi. Gehazi's greed, it was very sad to me. Like, how can you be a prophet's servant that has worked so closely with him, knows how he knows things, and did what he did, ran after this guy to go and collect clothes and money? I can't believe that he thought he would get away with it. It was very sad. Elisha continued to show God's power as a prophet by restoring the axe head, blinding the Syrian soldiers who came for him, predicting the end of the famine. I love how God kept revealing his plans and strategies, and the plans and strategies of the king of Syria to Elisha, who in turn warned the king of Israel. How cool is it to have first-hand insider information about your enemy's plans for you? That was just so cool. Verse 16 is a popular verse that says, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." A confident mantra for us who know our God. And if for those who didn't read, you should read. This was a very interesting story. This was when Elisha's servant was scared when the Syrian king's army came against them, and God opened the servant's eyes, and he saw that they were surrounded with chariots of fire. Elisha's suggestion to feed the Syrian attackers and send them home instead of killing them resulted in a temporary peace treaty between Syria and Israel. Jehoram blamed Elisha for the siege in the famine and ordered his death, not realizing that the siege was punishment for his own idolatry. We met again the Shunammite woman, remember, who showed up in God's time. Just as Elisha's servant, Gehazi, perhaps, I don't know, they said his servant, I don't know if it was still Gehazi or someone else, was telling the king about the miracles that had been performed, and then she gets her land back, and even much more. Like, she got back the land that she had let go of during the famine, or left behind during the famine, and then whatever was accrued to her in that time. Remember that God had commanded Elisha to anoint Hazael as king of Syria. And in 1 Kings 19:15, wasn't it what is this? Wasn't it weird, I'll say, that an Israelite prophet anointed the king of an enemy nation, but God clearly had his plans. This was apparently to be part of the judgment on Ahab's family. I bet God also knew that Hazael would be such a bad king that Elisha was weeping when he was delivering his prophecy to him. He was set to do many evil things. So go figure that he wasted no time in starting by killing Ben-Hadad after delivering the news that Elisha told him to give to the Syrian king. Hazael took the throne in such an evil way after he had killed the king of Syria. Now here's my hashtag getting to know God lesson. God looks out for his enemies, even uses them to fulfill his purpose and blesses them, in spite of themselves or resistance in Naaman's case. God is persistent and puts all that he needs in place to ensure completion. If not for the Israelite slave girl in his house, Naaman may never have gotten healed from leprosy, especially if he hadn't heeded the reasoning of his servants when he tried to depart from Elisha in anger. But more than that, he would have missed out on salvation, on the salvation of God, if he didn't obey. But God was persistent in this case. He was healed and saved through an enemy of Israel. And that made me come to the conclusion that no one is beyond saving. Thank you for getting to know God with me through his word today. And I'm looking forward to sharing lessons from 2 Kings 9 to 11 with you tomorrow. See you here. Bye.